Chapter 4. Between premonition and loss, I spent most of my time with a boy who loved flowers. He was gentle, kind to everyone, and always had a smile on his face. It always seemed to glow around him. One afternoon, as we sat in the shade of a tree, he turned to me and, with a small smile on his face, said, "Even when a flower withers, it's not the end. It takes a year of patience and effort to make it bloom again." Perhaps it's precisely because of this waiting period that flowers are so beautiful. A quiet strength emanated from within him. He never spoke of his struggles, but you could sense them hiding behind his laughter. And yet, he never let it show. Instead, he continued to help people in a very natural way. Ever since I began my shamanic training, he has been by my side, supporting me. Always the same, always there. Soleil. One day, the elder shaman looked at me and said, "When you're with Soleil, your light changes. It's as if the two of you are meant to do something important together." I didn't understand what he was trying to say, but deep down, I felt the same way. The attraction between Soleil and I grew stronger with each passing day. Then, on the night when I felt it most strongly, everything changed. After several days of heavy rain, a terrifying sound split the sky and echoed through our village. Without understanding what was going on, I jumped up and ran to my parents. The ground was shaking and a roaring sound filled the air, as if something was approaching. My mother wrapped her arms around me. "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice shook. "Don't be afraid." My father had gone out to check. When he came back, his face was pale. "There's flooding on the far side of the village," he said. "We need to get to higher ground." Now, we grabbed what we could and headed up the hill. The others were already there. They were just silent, trembling, their eyes wide with fear. I looked for Soleil in the crowd, but he was gone. A shaman approached me. "You're safe. That's what matters. Don't go back down. It's too dangerous." I peered down at the village from the top of the hill. I could barely see it in the darkness, but the roars, crashes, and endless sounds only made me more terrified. I waited. I didn't move. I couldn't. Not until the sky began to pale. The rain finally stopped. Far beyond the horizon, the sky was regaining its brightness and beginning to turn purple. A faint light shone upon us. I felt as if I had resumed breathing after holding it for too long. A scream cut through the air that was beginning to warm. "Our village is gone." Without thinking, we hurried to the edge of the hill. The sight that greeted my eyes was horrifying. Where there once were houses, paths, and gardens, there was now only emptiness. Part of the village had disappeared, as if swallowed whole. One by one, people began to cry. Still in my parents' arms, I couldn't make a sound as I just stared at the unbelievable sight. My mind went completely blank. Then, something hit me like an electric shock. Was that where Soleil's house had been? My knees gave way, and I collapsed. The moment my mother supported me, I was suddenly overcome with tears that I could not stop. We immediately began searching for those who had been swept away. Many people were missing. Soleil was one of them. I searched for him every day. And every day I prayed for his safety. As if, ignoring my feelings, anxiety slowly crept up on me. Seeing the situation as hopeless as it was, people began to give up. One by one, they stopped searching. I couldn't stop searching for Soleil. I would keep looking for him, even if I had to do it alone, because I had no other choice. The floods were the worst in the history of our village. My prayers were in vain, and the days went by without him and people returning. Some people were swept away by the force of the flood waters and were fortunate to survive. In the middle of nowhere, they supported each other and waited for rescue. In the midst of this sudden disaster, they trusted in others. But no matter how long they waited, no one came. Time passed mercilessly, and in that silence, something began to worsen. Frustration. Despair. The creeping fear of death. Odium. They began to resent those who hadn't come. They envied those who were living happily and safely in their villages. As the bitterness swirled, their memories began to fade. They were slowly consumed by Odimun's shadow. They became different beings who hated the light. Their minds formed a terrible plan. They would return to the village and destroy everything. They walked, day after day, through the dark, driven by something they no longer understood. That night, I had a strange feeling in my heart and couldn't sleep. I went outside and began praying to the night sky. Please, help Soleil. I began to sing quietly. I felt a faint vibration in the air. I prayed even harder. Soleil, hold on. Keep your light burning. Please give him the strength. Soleil and his companions were wandering deep in a faraway forest. Their hearts were dominated by darkness, and they continued walking regardless of their will. The night sky lit up for a moment. Immediately after that, Soleil was walking with his head down when a ray of light hit him. He was the only one who collapsed on the spot. The others continued walking without paying him any attention and eventually disappeared from sight. A thick, heavy darkness enveloped him. He couldn't breathe. Help me. The words slipped from his lips. He felt the end coming and whispered, Sorry, Luna. He quietly closed his eyes. The sounds faded away, and soon he was enveloped in silence. A soft, warm voice approached him from afar. Hold on. Keep your light burning. You can leave that place. Walk toward the light. He quietly opened his eyes, and his memories came flooding back to him all at once. Luna, the others. They're in danger. He continued running frantically towards the village. When he began to see people walking towards the village, he took a dangerous shortcut and ran further.